To gjester her fra Israel, men de gikk og satte seg. You can come back on stage. Yeah. You come first.
No, after all of this, I wanted to go.
Det var litt teknisk trøbbel her, men nå har de fått løst seg. Men de vil spille lyden av gjennom denne mikrofonen, men vi satser på at det går bra. Jeg skal først introdusere Ido Daniel, som er ekspert på sosiale medier, og som fører en kamp for Israel i sosiale medier. Og han er en av de viktigste personene i den kampen, så gi han en stor applaus. Han jobber for israelske myndigheter og jobber med dette her i veldig mange år. Og så her han også med seg Daniel Braun. Det er kanskje ikke så mange her som bruker TikTok, men de kan ha kanskje barn eller barnebarn som bruker det. Og der har Daniel 5 millioner følgere. Og spesielt etter 7. oktober så har han nå brukt sin plattform til å tale Israel sin sak. Så han når jo ut til 10 millioner unge mennesker, og det er veldig bra. Så nå skal ikke jeg bruke mer tid. I give the word to Ido Daniel. Thank you.
Thank you, Perota. Wow, okay. Yeah, I need this microphone for, yeah. We had some trouble, but we're okay now. Hi, everybody. It's great to be here, and first of all, I want to thank MIF. I want to thank you. And Conrad, you did amazing. And you guys are such a strong supporters of Israel, and we see it every day. And we see it now in Eurovision. And we see it in times of good, and in times of not so good. And we really appreciate it, so thank you very much. My name is Ido Daniel. I'm Senior Director for Digital Strategy at the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs and Combating Anti-Semitism. On October 7th, the morning of October 7th, I realized there's something else that I'm dealing with. It's from the first few minutes, I realized we're in a different scale, not something that I've seen before, not that another operation, but it's a full-scale invasion to Israel. We felt it, and we realized that we need to work with what we have and the toolbox that we have. And I will touch some of the things that we've done since October 7th as a government ministry, maybe a government in general, and you can ask questions about it as well. And kind of it redefined I believe, my role as a person who does public diplomacy for Israel online as the Israeli government. What is my role in it? Where is the role of civil society, of the organizations, our partners like you, all over the world? And how do we create a platform for every single one of those people around the world who would like to support Israel online but don't know how? How do we support this effort? I want to start with the challenges. Right in the minute of the biggest terrorist attack that the state of Israel has seen, the denial machine led by Hamas propaganda online and their supporters have already started. I want to show you some examples of it. It's important for you to see it for yourself. Maybe some of you have seen it as well. But it's important for you to understand how it looks like. The confidence that people have when they deny that October 7th ever happened. I want to show you just one example.
Do you really know what happened on October 7th? You think you do. Believe me, you don't. You've been lied to. We all have. The Zionist media has presented this event to the world as a Holocaust against innocent civilians. But the story couldn't be more different. The Zionists have been lying because they are terrible. What actually happened? You see, October 7th is one of the biggest ongoing cover-ups in recent memory. A grand lie to distract you from the truth. And it's been working. People have either bought into the atrocity propaganda lies or they're too busy trying to disprove it. Palestinians didn't behead babies, didn't put babies in ovens, didn't rape women, they didn't torture civilians. So many of us have been so focused on what didn't happen on October 7th. What we need to do now is focus on what did happen, because Israel is terrified of the truth.
Nothing happened. Hamas did not torture civilians, did not kill anyone, did not rape women. Nothing happened. It's an all-Israeli cover-up. This is what conspiracy theory, look at the confidence this guy has. He's trying to convince millions of people around the world that nothing happened. It goes on and on. Those advocates are all over the place. This is Jackson Hinkle. I'm going to show you just a few seconds of his video. He is very popular on Twitter. He's tweeting constantly on behalf of Iran, on behalf of Hamas. He sees them as world leaders, the people who should lead the world.
The incident on October 7th, it was widely reported a brutal genocidal act of terrorism that was led by the Al-Qaeda's forces into Israel, in which they massacred civilians, they burned down entire homes, and they burned people alive.
Actually, Bassem Naim, who's a former Hamas official, he was one of the two figures that you might have seen in the Hamas press conference outlining their demands and the motivations behind Al-Aqsa flood on October 7th. He himself has just called for an international investigation. So why would a Hamas official do that if they're accused of so many insane atrocities?
Bassem Naim, a Hamas official that sits in Gaza, is going and he received the platform from international media. He was on CNN, he was on BBC, he was everywhere. And the journalist, the British journalist, who one of the interviews that I saw, saying, Mr. Naim, what happened on October 7th? It wasn't us. But sir, your people filmed it themselves. It wasn't us. That was enough for those denial of the massacre propaganda machine and the people behind it to take Bassem Naim and say, even Hamas wants an international investigation because they are being accused of something they didn't do. And it goes on, and I have some examples here as well. You can see from Twitter just a few snapshots. Of course, who did October 7th? It wasn't Hamas, it's Israel. Israel did October 7th for its own civilians to justify the genocide of the Palestinians, so-called. You have, this is another Iran advocate for it, Dr. Anastasia Lupis. She's actually Danish, she's a Danish doctor. And she is, I don't know when she has time to treat patients because she's on Twitter constantly tweeting that October 7th never happened, and Iran and Hamas are the best thing that happened in the world. And you can see some more details here, quoting Israeli media that the Israeli army do not know who did it. So this is the challenge, and a lot of people saw it. I want to go over real quick about some of the denial arguments. So it otherwise was a lie of October 7th. Israel massacred its own people. It's profiting from it. It was against soldiers, not civilians. All the testimonies of the victims are not reliable. We can't trust them. They're probably undercover IDF soldiers. And children were not murdered and women were not raped. This is something that is constantly on their agenda. This is some of the posts that we posted at the beginning, but it wasn't enough. This is from the first hour of October 7th, the morning of this Saturday. And it wasn't enough. And when we talk about... Oh, okay. I hear myself, though. When we talk about what we have in our toolbox as government, as social media people who do government and digital work. So we had just a few tools to create. We had sponsored campaigns. We could help civil society do campaigns. We had our group that miff is part of it. It's called Digital, with all the advocates around the world from 20 countries. We have our influencers. Daniel Braun, you will hear from him in a few minutes, is part of it. We had our 4AL platforms, but there was a need for something else. It was needed we needed to take it to the next level. And because we have access to the army, we have access to other government agencies, we realized this because we need to fight this lie, and we need to bring the photos from out there, not from a third-party or second-party reports. We need people on social media, because this is the denial is happening on social media. We realized we need to bring people over there. Not just the reporters, maybe the journalists and the reporters. People don't buy what they're selling on CNN, and that's fine, that's their opinion. But what about social media? How do we fight the social media war with what they're waging on us? I decided to bring every single person possible that have large audiences abroad, including people who we brought from outside of Israel, to see for themselves what happened in southern Israel. The blood was still on the wall. The smell of death was there. But we kept on continuing and showing people for them to share their stories on their social media platforms. We brought a lot of content creators, a lot of people with a lot of influence to show them, for them to show in their own eyes to their audiences around the world what happened. I want to show you some of this work. This is Daniel, for example. I'll show one of his videos.
I want to show you guys another house. Bullet holes through the wall. And now inside, as we can see, on the floor, blood. On the couch, blood of innocent students that lived in these student buildings, blood of innocent youth like me, like you watching this video, that the Hamas terrorists came in and took away their lives, killed them, for doing what? For just being human and living here.
Daniel showed this to his almost 5 million followers, and we had so many others. I want to show you another one. This is Moran Atias. She's very popular. She's Israeli-Italian. We brought her to Kibbutz Be'eri and to Kibbutz Kfar Aza.
That's how they engulfed the house. We've seen bodies that were burned inside the house itself.
Yeah, the only image that comes to my mind is concentration camps.
And the list goes on and on and on. This is part of what we did about the Bibas family, which is still held captive. The Nova Music Festival, you all know about it. It is only the Nova Festival is the largest terrorist attack in Israel in one place that took place in Israel. The Nova producers created the memorial with all of the leftovers of shoes and everything that was in the place where the party took place, where the massacre took place. We took them over there as well, and we wanted people to show their experience when they see what has been left, what is left out of a party that took place.
Here in Tel Aviv, at a location where normally every Hanukkah there's a huge show put on for children, but this piece for the hour in which the rocket started. Everything here are actual things brought from the music festival. Everything tells a story. These are actual tents from the party. You can smell the outdoors. You can smell it on the tents.
we did some more stuff. We realized there's a problem in getting to certain audiences because they don't understand the message of Israel. And I want to show you a few case studies of how we had a problem, a challenge, and we solved it with a video online. Each video you'll see here has millions and millions of views, and we produced it with civilians and civil society. The first one is when we realized there's a problem in understanding in the international doctors, in the health community around the world, physicians, doctors, what is happening in Gaza hospitals. They are being used by Hamas as launch pads. They hide terrorists inside, they took the hostages and hid them. Sometimes they murdered the hostages within the hospitals, in the El-Masri hospital, in the Shifa hospital, and no outrage by the international health community. We went to our friends at the Ichilov Medical Center in Tel Aviv, the second largest hospital in Israel. These are Jewish and Arab doctors and nurses appealing to the international health community with this message.
We are Israeli doctors and nurses.
We treat everyone the same, regardless of ethnicity or religion.
As doctors, we have taken the Hippocratic Oath. Treating our patients is our sacred duty. The hospital is our temple.
Recently, we have witnessed very troubling scenes coming out of Shifa Hospital and other medical centers in Gaza.
Gaza hospitals are being used for a purpose for which they were never intended.
Hamas terrorists are using these hospitals as terror headquarters and a place to store their rockets, weaponry, and to hide there.
Knowing Israel cannot and will not bomb a hospital.
Using hospitals as military headquarters goes against international law.
It is evident that the basement rooms of the hospital were used to hold hostages kidnapped to Gaza during the October 7th attacks.
One of the hostages, 19-year-old Noam Marziano, was taken alive inside the walls of Shifa Hospital, where she was murdered by a Hamas terrorist.
Can you imagine?
This sacred place where we treat people back to health
has been infested by people interested in bringing death, not life.
We call upon the international medical community.
Hospitals should be used to cure the sick and not abused to hurt and kill people.
Never again is now. And now it is your turn.
It's your turn.
Your turn.
Your turn.
Your turn.
Your turn.
To speak up.
We received so many positive comments from Israeli doctors saying, at last, we have something to send to our colleagues around the world and show them, tell them where is the outrage. This was not a government video. This was posted on the Ichilov Medical Center pages because it was an official statement by the hospital to their colleagues in other hospitals around the world. Another case that I want to show you is of athletes being attacked for being Israeli. I get a call from Sagi Muki, he's one of our Olympic medalists in judo, saying, Ido, I get a lot of messages from my colleagues, other judo athletes around the world. They all have Olympic medals. They don't understand the hostages situation. Now, Sagi Muki is also practicing with kids. He teaches them judo on his spare time. I had this was before the first hostages swap. This was before the hostages deal. So many children are still being held by Hamas at this moment. And we produced this video in the Israeli Academia for Judo with Sagi Muki. And I want to show you his message to his colleagues in the judo community and Olympic medalists around the world.
גמר אליפות אירופה 2018 בתל אביב. העולם כאן מלא מפה לפה. סגי לא יאומן. עוזר לי לסגי מוקי. סגי מוקי, אלוף אירופה בתל אביב. סגי מוקי חוזר לזכות בתואר כאן בישראל.
join our fight by bringing them home. Judo is all about fighting. So this was a message we created for the international judo community. It worked quite well, and it was, again, posted on Sagi Muki's platforms, not ours. Another case study is about the rape victims in the Nova Festival and other places around southern Israel on October 7th. At the beginning, we didn't have much evidence because of the victims. Some of them were still held in Gaza, so they couldn't speak, and some of them did not want to speak after they went through what they went through on October 7th. I went back to our friends, remember Ichilov Hospital, and told them about this. And they said, you know, Ido, we have a solution for this because we received a lot of the testimonies ourselves as medical staff. Dr. Ronit Almog that you see here, she is one of the top gynecologists in Israel. She is well recognized around the world. With her scrubs, she's speaking for the first time, this is the first video, about the sexual abuse on October 7th.
On October 7th, Hamas terrorists brutally raped and sexually assaulted Israeli women. People saw their friends getting raped at a music festival. Women were passed from one terrorist to another and their bodies were mutilated and then massacred. The naked and bleeding dead bodies of women with their legs spread were found by the first responders at the scene of the horrific October 7th attack. As a mother, a woman, and a gynecologist, it's my obligation to speak out and emphasize. Rape should never be used as an act of war. No matter what is your nationality, ethnicity, religion, or race, there is one thing we should all agree on. No woman should ever experience such terrible acts of cruel sexual violence. Imagine if it was your own sister, mother, or daughter. The pain would be too much to bear. It is unbelievable that human beings are capable of doing such terrible acts, but it's also unbelievable that despite the overwhelming evidence, international women organizations still refuse to believe the hideous acts Hamas committed against Israeli women. So we, the women of the world, should unite and speak out now, condemn rape, and say never, never again.
This created an entire outrage because a woman doctor, very, very senior, is attacking directly the international women's organizations for not believing the Israeli women who got raped or sexually abused on October 7th. It was also posted on the Ichilov Medical Center pages, and it was removed the day after. I called a senior person at Meta, which is Instagram, and told them that I think they had a mistake if they think we will sit silently while a hospital on his official platform is giving a statement against rape, and they will delete it without notifying us. And there will be consequences for it. And it was up again in 30 minutes later. I spoke with Conrad about it yesterday. I told them that I'm recorded, I can't say what I wanted to say, but never mind. It's my personal opinion on social media platforms and how we should treat them when they do stuff like that. I won't share it because I'm being recorded. International Holocaust Remembrance Day. We decided that there's need of something else in fighting the denial of what happened. And we partnered with one of the civilian civil society groups that did advocacy since the beginning of the war. We got access for the first time for the children who got back from Gaza after they've been kidnapped by Hamas. Eitan Yahalomi and the Eliakim sisters. We've met them with a Holocaust survivor, and they all agreed to create a video for International Holocaust Remembrance Day, which took place, I remind you, 3 months after October 7th. And this is the result.
You really know what happened on October 7th. You've been lied to. We all have. Palestinians didn't behead babies.
What?
Didn't.
How can they even say that?
Yeah, we were there. What?
They can't deny it. I'll give up. But something can never be erased.
So we combined the story of Avigdor, who was a Holocaust survivor, and a photo when he was released from Auschwitz, and when they were released to really convey a message for Gen Z, for people to understand what it's like to be in captivity against your will, what it's like to be held against your will, and a message for International Holocaust Remembrance Day. We had a lot of impressions on our platforms on this, and we continued and did a lot of work as an official platform to provide evidence, to provide proof, to provide people with the talking points for them to understand what is our problem with UNRWA. The reports are not here. We had a report of UNRWA recently about the involvement of UNRWA. This is the report. Conrad has it. I have a few copies here, and it's also online. The ministry did their research and provided all the evidence that countries need about UNRWA's involvement in October 7th, who held hostages from UNRWA employees in their houses, what they did, and so on. It's all in this report. And it's for politicians, for governments, and civil society organizations to act. I want to show you, I think, one last thing, because I don't think we have much time. We also brought civil society funding for them to continue and continue to convey the message of Israel. One in particular that I will show you, and with this I will finish, is a website that went to American audiences, because during that time it was people looked for houses. There was a spike in people looking for houses in the United States. This organization that we supported created a website. It's about real estate opportunities. And you could go inside and see the opportunities and see the houses with the families. You can see the houses that you can rent or buy or whatever, but you probably understand what's going on here, because the houses are actually in Kfar Aza, in other communities in the south. And when you clicked on one of them, you'd seen what happened in this house and to this family. So it's not a real estate website. It's actually a website that provides more proof, more evidence, and details about what happened to each and every family in those kibbutzim, in those communities that were affected and massacred during October 7th. I think I will end with this one. Or you know what? Let's watch one more thing, because this is the first time I think international audiences seeing this. I talked about disruptive advocacy. What do we do when you see something, but it's not what you see? We had Noah Kirel on a commercial, and I want to show it to you, and with this I will finish.
This is time. Time doesn't stop.
Israelis need to choose wisely their shoes because they don't know when and where they should run for their lives because of a terrorist attack. This is the message in this commercial, that you think you see a commercial about shoes, but actually it's something else. I will finish with this, and I would like to introduce you with Daniel Braun, that will speak about his story and what happened to him since October 7th. And we'll do the Q&A then together. Thank you.
Round of applause for Ido. כל הכבוד. לא, אני אסתם שלי.
אוקיי.
Right. Can we connect it? Cool. Thank you. So before I begin, I'd just like to say thank you for all of you guys for being here, for supporting Israel, and for being allies of both the Jewish people and the state of Israel. It really does mean the world. So a little bit about myself. I am 22 years young. I'm an Israel and peace activist. I'm also a social media influencer with 5 million followers online. I act. I'm also a student in university and an entrepreneur. So how did I do all of this? How it all started? So I want to take you guys back to 2019, and then I will take you guys back to 2017. So in 2019, the application TikTok started. And my sister basically said to me, you should start making funny social media content. And I said to her, that's pretty stupid, but I'll try. So I started making funny videos here and there. For about 2 months, nothing really happened. And one day I posted a video. And the same day that I posted the video, for some reason, I decided to go to sleep with a live stream recording me. It was very weird, but that's what I did. And when I went to sleep, I had 10 people watching me sleep. Again, very weird. But what was even more weird is that when I woke up, I looked at my phone, and there were 10,000 people watching me sleep. Yeah, that was one of the weirdest moments in my life. But I had realized that the video I posted the day before actually blew up and received, right now it's sitting on nearly 100 million views. But it's a lot of people that saw me sleep. Okay, so 2019, that was 2019 when I started social media. Right now, I sit on TikTok, I'm on 4.3 million, it's not updated. And on Instagram, I am on 509,000 followers. So put together, almost 5 million followers. So 2021, that was the year that I experienced my first war in Israel. The war that we had with Hamas, when they fired thousands of rockets from Gaza into Israel. And it was a scary moment. It was a scary moment because I had never experienced war. I'm originally from South Africa. I was born there, and I moved to Israel in 2017. And when this happened, I knew that I had at the time about 3 million followers, and I had impact, and I could do something. So what I did was I created a social media video. Whoa, that was quick. Whoa, that was even quicker. Okay, that's not working. Let's just see why. Okay, now it should work.
Over the past couple
of
hours, I've been getting hate over every single social media platform for being a Jew and for living in Israel. And to that, all I have to say is, Am Yisrael Chai.
Yeah. I look very young there. I was about 17, 18. But I would like to share a little story from when I did move to Israel and I made Aliyah. I was a 14-year-old boy in Cape Town, South Africa. And one night I was lying in bed and life wasn't the best. You know, a little boy in South Africa, classic girl problems, little teenage stuff. And I was lying in bed and I looked up and I was praying to Hashem, because I'm Hashem, God. And I said to him, I want to change in my life. I want to be in a different position. I'm not liking the current situation. And I said I wanted to change. And I kid you guys not, the very next day, my parents sat me down and told me we're moving to Israel. The very next day. That's a little story that I'll always remember. And everything was meant to happen for a reason. So, since I posted that video back in 2021, in collaboration with the State of Israel, we formed the first Israel advocacy team of influencers to combat the anti-Israel propaganda and the anti-Semitism online. We went with that team and with the delegation, we went to the Hezbollah tunnels up north, we went deep down inside the tunnels, and in those tunnels we created content to show the world how Hezbollah in Lebanon is actually investing their money into trying to kill Israelis instead of investing it into their own citizens, into the welfare and healthcare of their own citizens. After that, we went down south as well to show our social media followers what's going on in Israel down south. We went to all the different places in the Negev, and following that, we went on a peace delegation following the Abraham Accords to Morocco, where we held a conference between Moroccan influencers, actors, actresses, and the Israeli influencers to show that there can be peace between the Arabs in Morocco and the Jews and the Israeli content creators in Israel. And it worked up until October 7th. And also following that, I've traveled across the world speaking about Israel and reaching millions and millions of people online, which has been incredible. October 7th. On October 7th, I remember October 6th, I went to sleep at about 7 p.m. I don't know why, it's not like me. And I woke up at 6 a.m. before anything happened. And I decided that I'm going to go on a run with my sister. So we go to the park, we go on a run. It's about 6:45, and all of a sudden I'm checking my phone and I'm getting sent videos from down south of people, of friends of mine, murdered. Bullet holes in them, videos. And straight after that, I said to my sister, we have to go home. So we went home, and 3 of my best friends, that day was a Jewish holiday, and basically a lot of my friends were home, and they all got called back to base. So I went with my friend with his gun. I was guarding his car while he filled up gas to go down south, and said goodbye to all my friends, and they went all down south to go and try and save people. So what have I done since October 7th? So I was the first content creator to step foot in the kibbutzim 1 week after the October 7th massacre, when there were still terrorists in the area, when there were still dead bodies in the houses. I went down south with Ido and with another influencer, his name's Evyatar, and we took a gun, took bulletproof vests, we took helmets, and we saw crazy things, and we showed the world what we saw as well. We saw there were dead bodies in the houses, there were dead dogs outside, there were blood stains from the walls to the floor. It was hard scenes, but it had to be shared, and someone had to do it. So we took the responsibility of doing it, and I'm very glad that we did, so we could show the world. After that, since October 7th, I've created over 100 personal pieces of content, reaching over 50 million people around the world. And of course, I've traveled around the world speaking for the Jewish people and speaking for Israel, and I don't plan to stop anytime soon. I also have an organization called Let's Do Something. A little bit of a story about Let's Do Something. 4 friends of mine on October 7th got a message from their roommate who was at the Nova Music Festival. And he texted them saying, "Pray for me." And those 4 friends of mine got in a car with a few guns, with a few bulletproof vests, drove down south, and tried saving their friend named David Newman. They didn't succeed. They received a picture of David being able to identify his body just through the T-shirt that one of my friends lent him the day before. On October 8th, they went down south again to try and retrieve his body, to try and find his body and get it to bring him home to bury him. But they couldn't. They reached a point where it was if they carried on, they would probably die themselves too. So they turned around, they got home, and they opened a WhatsApp group called Let's Do Something. The following day, at the exact same time as David's funeral, a cargo plane landed in Israel with 20,000 tons of humanitarian aid and equipment for the IDF to supply them, and they were the first people to bring that into Israel. So far, we have raised over $25 million in humanitarian aid and equipment for the IDF, and we have reached over 70 million people through our social media platforms. So I think everyone has a reason that they're sitting here, has a reason that they advocate online. And my reason is, honestly, the Jewish people, because just before I was in Norway, I was actually in Poland, in Auschwitz, and I went on March the Living for my first time. And the scenes I saw there, I know that me receiving this platform with 5 million followers for making funny content on social media, I don't know how I got the following. It's cool, but I don't know how. But the purpose and the reason that I got that platform was for these exact moments, to make sure that never again means never again. And through my social media, that is what I'm doing, and that is my reason. So, of course, with creating content comes the bad side. As you guys can see on the screen, you can read it yourself. F the Jews, Hitler's the greatest hero. You better be scared, little Jew. You will die soon. Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of these messages every day. And it's tough, but the one thing that uplifts me when these happen is the nice comments. The comments from the Jewish people, the comments from Israelis, the comments from the allies that say, your content is a constant source of inspiration for me, and I will always be supporting you no matter what. You are truly my motivator to be strong, even during the hardest times. This is what keeps me going, and this is what motivates me. The strength that the Jewish people and the allies of the Jewish people and the allies of Israel give me through the hardest times. I'd like to share, let me pause that. I'd like to share with you guys 3 pieces of content that I've created out of many, just a few of my favorites. So the first piece of content is I flew into New York after a couple of months after October 7th, and we wanted to raise awareness in America for what happened. So we stood in the middle of Times Square, we blindfolded ourselves, and we held up 2 signs that said, "Bring the hostages home, hug us if you agree." And this is the reactions that we got to doing that.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Then I pray, don't take me soon. I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it bring me down.
Thank you, brother.
So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around. Cause all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't wanna fight no more. There'll be no more war, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day. Oh, one day, one day, one day.
I'm excited. I appreciate the support.
All my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to...
That's just one video. There will be 2 more. Pause this. So this was in the New York City subway station, where obviously the subway are tunnels, very similar tunnels to the tunnels that the hostages are being kept in, the terror dungeons. And we took 2 signs and we walked through the subway saying, Imagine living here in these tunnels for 6 months, and for 136 Israeli hostages, this is their reality. Thank you. Oh. I was going to show you one more video, but apparently I can't. Oh, I can. Okay, cool. This video was actually the International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And again, I was in New York. And I walked in with a sign that says, "I'm afraid to be Jewish." And in the corner, it said 1939. And then my friend stood with a sign saying, "This is how it started. Stand with us." We didn't know the reactions that we'd get. We were in the middle of Times Square, people from all over the world, and got 1.4 million views on TikTok. It got about 3 million views on Instagram, and this is the reactions of the people. Oh. 1 second.
People who hate us. Period, end of story. And there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. But our lives and who we are is not defined by who hates us. It's defined by who loves us and who we love. Because from that comes all of our strength, comes all of our power. There may only be 15 or 16 million of us in the whole world. But that love and that connection is stronger than anything anybody else can do.
So what can you do? In today's day and age, every one of us has a cell phone. I'm speaking a bit more to the younger audience here. I don't know, it's a bit tough, the demographic, but everyone has a cell phone. And if you don't want to be in a video, you have Twitter, where you can tweet things with your fingers. You have comment sections where you can comment on videos. You can report videos. You can like videos. Every single one of you guys in this room has a role to play. Even if it's public or if it's in silent, everyone has a role to play using social media, because that is how the information gets spread. And unfortunately and fortunately, in today's day and age, this is how people are accessing their information, through apps like TikTok, through apps like Instagram, through Twitter. So what you can do is open your camera, or open Twitter, or open the comment section, and just do something. Thank you. And a few pro tips just before I finish. Filming, again, open the camera and just film. Just start filming and speak into the camera, speak your mind, say what you feel. Attention grabbing. The first 2 seconds of your video are the most important part. The average human being loses their attention span in 8.7 seconds. Okay? So every 5 seconds while creating your video, you want to regain their attention, whether it be through an image that pops up on the screen or a hand movement in the camera, but you want to regain their attention. It is key in making viral content that catches people's eyes. Editing. There are so many apps that you can edit nowadays. You have Video Leap, CapCut. You can edit on TikTok. You can edit on Instagram. You can create videos and put it together so easily if you just take 10 minutes every day, just learning a bit of an editing app, and it will change the way that you make content. And perfectionism, just make everything perfect in your own way. Look at when you're editing your video, if there's a split second here where you don't speak and then you start speaking again, cut it so it flows. And then doing that, you can gain another 1,000 views, 2,000 views, maybe 10,000 views. Maybe you can reach 1 million people, but make sure that everything in your video is perfect and up to standard. And with that, thank you all for listening.
Nå har vi et tidsskjema som blir veldig squashe, fordi vi ønsker å se Eurovision, gjør vi det? Ja. Så da har jeg lest salen riktig. Så vi må den første som sender et bra spørsmål nå, får det. First question for you, Ido. Since even though you have presented so much evidence against UNRWA, why do you think some European countries restarted their funding?
That's the reality on the ground. The UNRWA is irreplaceable. There's no alternative, I believe. And it's problematic, but the problems on the ground are much worse sometimes. And European countries, I believe, do not want to fund people who teach kids while they're, for example, this is data that has been shown by us, by civil society like UN Watch, that teachers who admire Nazis and Hitler are teaching Palestinian kids, the next generation of Palestinian children. And I believe European countries do not want that. Not to mention what happened on October 7th, that many members of UNRWA actively participated in the massacre. There will need to be some sort of coalition of countries to decide what are we going to do with UNRWA, because the Israeli message is stop the funding now, because we cannot do this anymore. And this is what we are advocating for. Stop the funding now and find a solution which is not UNRWA.
And the final question for you, Daniel. How are you working around the algorithms to make your social media content reach far? But you touched on it.
Yeah, I'll touch on it, yeah. So there is a few things that you can do. The first thing is that keywords that you say, like genocide, like rape, murder, killing, when you say it and you put captions on the screen, instead of putting an A in rape, you put an at. So then the algorithm can't work out that it's actually rape. Also, when you're speaking on TikTok, for example, try and change the words you're using. A lot of people say grape instead of rape. It's a very childish thing to do, but unfortunately, that is what we're dealing with, and that's what we're battling with when we're fighting this algorithm. So changing the text and also violent images online, try to blur them or try to not use them as much because they will get taken down. And yeah, just try to be, as we say in Israel, as kosher as possible with the content, but still getting your message out there.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys.
There is chocolate for you there.
Thank you very much.
Give them a big hand.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Var det noen som fikk tekstmelding fra MIF nå klokken 4? Så bra. Og her ser dere bare alle svarene som har kommet til oss om at de vil stemme. Følg med nå. Så dette er for en time siden. Nå blar jeg oppover her. Ser dere her? Mange av disse sier at de vil stemme 20 ganger. Tommel opp. Se her. Se. Ser dere lista? Er det rart de er engstelige i NRK? Se her. Det fortsetter, det fortsetter, og det fortsetter. Så, nå må vi ut her så fort som mulig. Dere må ta med dere alt. Jeg trenger noen som sitter på endene til å ta ned plakatene, komme frem og legge de her.
Dere må ta med absolutt alt fra lokalet og gå ut så fort dere kan. Tusen takk. Og så er det da aperitif 6:30 i lobbyen. Klokken 7 presis, hvis hotellet klarer det på tiden. Nå må vi være raske ute, for de begynner straks å rydde til. Klokken 7 begynner det med nydelig klassisk musikk, for dere har sett på flygel, ikke sant? Er det noen flere spørsmål som kan gjelde for mange? Nei. Så forlat stedet så fort som mulig. Hvis dere tar med kopper, ja, da hjelper dere hotellet. Alt vi kan gjøre for å hjelpe hotellet. Hvis dere er noen sterke mannfolk som kan stable noen stoler, er det også bra? Nei, ikke stable. Ja, bruk begge utgangsdørene. Dere kan bruke utgangsdøra her til høyre. Denne. Nei, vi trenger ikke gjøre det. Vi trenger ikke stable stoler. Eller jo, skal vi hjelpe med det? Nei, ok. Nei, vi skal ikke stable stoler. Vi skal bare ta med alle sakene våre ut, og gå ut så fort som mulig. Dette går jo veldig bra. Dere kan klappe litt for dere selv på veien ut. Men det ligger litt saker igjen.
Ja, skal du... Er det bare dele sosiale medier? Og skulle jo hatt et bilde med Daniel som holdt den her. Han som er så kjent i sosiale medier.
Ido Daniel?
Ja,
Daniel Braun. Så må vi få bilder.
Ja. Hvilken vil vi ha?
Begge to?
Ja, ett av hver. See if you could hold. We can take. We would like to use you for social media if you don't mind. And
There's no contrast. You two agree. You have the same message. You have the same message.
רגע, עוד איזה תמונה, אפשר? אפשר עוד איזה תמונה? חניה? אין טילה. לא יודע. פנטסטי, יופי, נהדר, תודה.
I'm sorry to be slow. Can I?
יליד הרצליה. יליד הרצליה. יליד הרצליה.
What about you, my friend? You have a kibbutz.
Yeah, I came from the synagogue now.
No, you didn't, because...
I was?
No, because the people wearing the kibbutz are in general not Jews.
Okay. Yeah, this is the Hamas, yeah, of course. Yeah.
You want to be sure to try together with this one?
Yeah, photo?
Or are you ashamed of that message?
No, never.
You're not ashamed.
I can send it. It's better.
I'm not the best photographer. Will the background come back?
No,
Yes, it will. Wonderful. It does come back. Yeah, it does come back. way.
Are you from here? Or?
Well, almost. You know, Norway used to be part of Denmark 200 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a nice period.
Yeah.
But then you found oil and you decided that you prefer to with the oil instead of Denmark.
So you live in Denmark?
Yes, I do. Actually, I live in Denmark.
You speak Danish?
Ja.
Forstår du norsk?
Jeg kan godt forstå norsk, jeg kan godt læse norsk, men der er for mange misforståelser.
Ja, det er det. Better with English then.
We have a group in Denmark
Yeah.
putting not posters because they're too expensive, but small stickers.
Yeah. I'm gonna reuse this for a support event that I'm having in Grimstad for Israel. Yeah, in the southern part of Norway.
It's a very crepe place.
A very
Crepe place.
no. I guess that the Danes were too jealous of us having this place. That's why they called it Grimstad.
But we were not the one labeling it.
I think actually it has its name from back then. Skal vi ikke være her i morgen?